is it sustainable to think in the way of having to convert and bring back? And if you look at the Lemba, they don't even want to convert. They said, why are we converting to something we're already part of? So it's really important now to bring in the writings of our sages, because we have a consensus for about 3,000 years passed on that everyone agrees on what will happen in the future times when this great awakening happens. What will happen in the future times when this great awakening happens? What will happen in the future times when this great awakening happens?
The point being, around the world, this prophecy started unfolding before our eyes. The awakening and the return of Israel. It's the awakening and the return of Israel. It's the awakening and the return of Israel. Because it says in the days of Messiah. So now we go through the prophets here, and we get to the book of Ezekiel in 36 and 37. The dead bones of Israel come back to life. And in 36 and 37, it says, in the days the Messiah returns, both sticks, Judah and Ephraim, are joined in his hand. So then we get to the New Testament, and it talks about the Jews and the Gentiles, but those Gentiles were returning Israel. Read Peter's address, he says, to the dispersed of Israel, or to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, and James says the same. So this story of the Bible, guys, there was no change of the law at the middle day. It was a continuation of the story of restoration.
On right now is what I call the Great Awakening. And what is a Great Awakening? It's realizing that we've been lied to quite a bit when it comes to a certain state and a certain group of people from the Middle East, even though they're not really from the Middle East, if you know what I'm saying. This situation is getting mainstream attention. A topic that typically would get you banned everywhere is now exploding, absolutely exploding in awareness.
Misconception about the African Hebrew Israelites or the whole village of peace.
I don't think it's a misconception about the village of peace more than what it is a misconception about the identity of African Hebrew Israelites, generally wherever they are in the world, right? People believe that this is some fabricated ideology that was developed within the last few years, and then suddenly, and it's ignorant, but it's also a little offensive to say to people who know who they are, even though they were not able to outwardly practice a lot of those tenets, but they maintain their identity by passing it through song and through dance, right? When you hear about the songs that we had sang about Beyond the Jordan and Swing Low Sweet Chariot Coming Forth to Carry Me Home, and all of these other songs, Joshua Fought the Battles of Jericho, these things were not coming from learning them from somebody else. They were coming from us knowing where we actually came from and where we are to return to. And so when people don't understand it, this is an unbroken chain that has been continued on for generations since at the least 70 AD, right? Where a significant amount of those Judean tribes, or those people who resided in Judea, were exiled, found refuge in North Africa, migrated from North Africa as a result of the Arab conquests, then found refuge on the western shores of Africa, and then were taken from there into America to be enslaved. And then because of 400 years of you being totally stripped away from your identity, us coming back into the knowledge of ourselves was something that was never supposed to happen. And so the fact that we managed to do so, people can't really wrap their minds around that. Whether you are in Europe or in Asia or in Africa or North America, South America, if you are of that specific identity of Israelites, you're going to wake up to that identity at one point or another. And as Israelites, we're expected to, at one point or another, reconnect. All 12 tribes of Israel are expected to return home. And so I don't know what people are looking for when they say the 12 tribes or the 10 lost tribes. I don't know where they're looking for these people to come from. But we are waking up and we're coming to you and telling you that we are here. People can't process that in their brains, because how does a people fall so low, go through so much, but manage still to rise out of that and once again reconnect to their previous identity and continue to move forward and go back home? That baffles people. So it's not a misconception. People are really baffled. They really can't understand how in the did this happen.
Berean Scholar. Waking up the people of the Most High. Got the knowledge to destroy the lies. DNA history, open eyes. Walk into the darkness and turn on the lights. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake
everybody. My name is Ashril Moore. I'm the ambassador of the African Diaspora Collective and the spokesperson for the African Hebrew Israelite community down in Dimona, Israel.
In Dimona, Israel?
Yes, sir.
Wow, amazing. I've heard of the place Dimona, Israel. How far is it from Tel Aviv?
I would say probably about hour and a half driving from here.
So,
On a good day. On a good day, yeah.
so is it like, are you like from there, or where are you from in Israel?
So I was born and raised here in Israel. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you that we have a community of 3,000 African Americans, which is the largest concentration of African Americans outside of America that's right here in Israel.
3,000?
3,000. And it's also
that's
the
interesting.
and the largest vegan community in the world. But people are not aware of the fact that we actually reside here. So it's good that we could have this conversation about that now to enlighten people.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you say you were born here.
Yes.
You're born and raised here.
Yes.
Like how was that? How was your experience being born here? Because like I came from London,
Yeah.
and I know what I hear
Yeah.
about this country.
Yeah.
What I heard, I'll tell you now.
Yeah.
In summary,
Yes.
they say this country is a country of white people,
Yes.
blonde hair, blue
Yes.
eyes.
Okay.
And then you're telling me you're born and raised here.
Yes.
Please tell me about that.
So
Your experience.
first of all, people don't realize that unless you actually visit Israel, you would never really have a great idea of the social fabric of the land. Because 75% of people are not even European people. I mean, we're talking about various communities. Let's say 20% of the residents here in Israel, they're Arab, first of all. But then in addition to that, you have the African Hebrew Israelite community, which is the community that I come from. You have the Mizrahi Jews, you have the Sephardi Jews, you have the Ethiopians, you have the African Americans, you have Igbo, you have Ghanaians.
The Igbo one shocked me.
Yeah.
It shocked me.
Yeah, it exists.
And then your community being here as well.
Yes.
Like for me, it's new knowledge. Absolutely. I've not seen it anywhere online. And I've tried to research about Israel, but I've not seen that at all. The Igbo one came up. The Mizrahi Jews one, that one came up.
Yeah.
And the Ethiopians, some of it came up, and I was just wondering if it really is true.
Yeah.
And then here you are telling me that you were
Yes.
born and bred here, you were raised here.
Born and raised here. Yeah, born and raised here. I'm
Wow.
part of the fabric
Wow.
of Israel.
Okay.
And so, for me, when people outside of Israel say things in regards to the social fabric of Israel, you could clearly see that they have no idea what they're talking about.
Now I know.
Yeah, I mean, they have no idea what they're talking about because you have a community or you have a person like myself who was born and raised in Israel. And I represent also the fabric of Israel. Now, you have to be able to separate the politics from the society. Like, because people don't really have a great idea of the society, so they think that everything that is political, like you're looking at the political leadership, and you're looking at the political views, and you're looking at wars, and all those things, and you think that those are the things that actually define a society, which is absolutely incorrect. And the reason why that's incorrect, Shady, is because, first of all, a significant portion of the society in Israel don't even represent or don't even support this current government, right?
Wait,
And
is that so?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because like the take, like from where I live, from where I'm from, in London, the take is that the whole Israelis are in support of the government.
No, sir.
Like it's almost like no dictatorship, but it feels like everyone is just follows him, left, right, straight, whatever he decides. That's what the whole of the Israelis want.
No. Prior to the war, prior to the beginning of the war, for at the least 10 months straight, every weekend, there were protests of 100,000 people going out to protest against the government. And even since, yes, sir, and even since the beginning of the war, there have been protests almost every week also, protesting against the government's decision in regards to how they were going to go about the war and returning the hostages, and the fact that it was like they're dragging their feet with the hostages, and they were turning down deals, and a whole bunch of things that the people here in Israel really didn't agree with. And so you would, but again, you wouldn't know these things if you're looking at it from the outside. What I like to do is help people to have an internal view at the society of Israel and to be able to reprogram their thoughts and their minds in regards to the society inwardly. Because there are issues everywhere you look, right? In every place in the world, right? Israel is not unique in that sense. But then also, people of African ancestry, we are also in almost every country in the world. And we have unique experiences wherever we are. I mean, we experience racism, we experience discrimination, we experience exploitation, especially on the African continent. We experience a lot of these things. So even in Israel, yes, there are some experiences like that as well. But that's not unique to Israel. Now, the difference here is that we actually fight internally against these injustices in order to change the system. Not to totally dismantle the system, because we love the country that we live in. Yeah, there are a lot of issues, societal issues, political issues, but at the same time, you look around, it's an incredible place.
Absolutely.
Incredible people. You know, the majority of people want just to live and to experience life, and you know, just to have, you know, the normal experiences of people anywhere, you know, in the world. So it's not anything that's unique to Israel, but because the only thing that you see and the only thing that you hear about the place is war and conflict, then you would get caught thinking that is the only thing that actually exists here. We're walking down the street here. We're pretty safe.
Absolutely.
Right? Things are pretty good. But then also, you're right, you're not that far away, say, from Judea and Samaria, or the West Bank, some people refer to it as.
Yeah.
And you have Afro-Palestinians there also, who are also experiencing some terrible experiences at the hands of the Palestinian government and leadership. But you don't hear about their experiences either. So people have this monolithic mind in regards to how the society is actually made up, which is absolutely ignorant, because they're people with so many different thoughts, right?
Absolutely.
So many different ideologies. People subscribe to different religions, right? People have different viewpoints politically. You know, people, some are religious, some are atheists, some, you know, are ultra religious. You have so many different factions in a society.
Yeah.
So for you to try and define one society just based on a very specific element of that society, that shows not only ignorance, but that shows that you're lazy, you know, with your researching of the intricacies of a society. So you don't want to go into the nuances, right? You don't want to pull back the layers of the context. You want to just look at it in a very broad way, and that shows, obviously, for anybody who is residing and anyone who lives here, that you're just being lazy with it. You
know, that's very interesting. Like the way you talk, you say we. You keep referring to Israel as we.
Yes.
Your country.
Yes.
We. Like
Yes.
you're personalizing it. You're owning it. For me, I find it a bit. It's like new knowledge, a bit strange, and I'll tell you why. Because of what I've heard on the media. Because of what we are exposed to. Like in the UK, for instance, a black person saying he is from here. For us, it's like, excuse me, mate, something is not right. Because that is not what we're told. That's not what we grew up knowing. And then with all these wars as well, we keep hearing that it's an apartheid state. There's so much discrimination to blacks, to Arabs. In fact, that there are no Muslims here. That the Muslims that are here, it's either they're thrown in jail or they're sent away. Or we just hear crazy stuff. And to be honest, I never researched it. Hello, man, you alright? Yeah, to be honest, I didn't research it before. Not until recently. That's when I thought something wasn't right, and I decided to come visit this country for myself. Why do you think? Why do you think this, you know, this false narrative of Israel is being widely spread and believed by people? Because people believe it and they push it. They push it so very far, and they're willing to fight for it. People that are not even from this region.
I think people are just being willingly ignorant. You know, whenever you have access to so much information like we have today, you know, in the age of knowledge being oversaturated, right? It's almost like there's too much knowledge out there, so you don't really know what to believe or not. But at least it gives you a basic fundamental foundation where you could be able to, at the least, start from somewhere. And when you listen to the things that people are saying, I mean, you could actually be taken from it. Absolutely, I refer to Israel as we, as us. First of all, I am an Israelite, right? And let's not forget, right? Because people like to. I'm going to bring you back into the proper context.
Bring me back.
Let's not forget that Israel is in northeastern Africa. Okay? The only thing that separates Israel from mainland Egypt, or the or Israel and the Sinai Peninsula from mainland Egypt, is the man-built Suez Canal. Okay? The Israelite people that had come out of Egypt, this was a mixed multitude of tribes that had come out of Egypt. And obviously we know that the Egyptian people were people of African ancestry. Right. We know that the Canaanites were people of African ancestry. Or is that here? Okay. We do know that the language Hebrew, which is my first language, is an Afro-Semitic language.
I'm sorry to cut you short. That's actually true. About the Canaanites. Do you know, I don't really think about it. I just know that's some form of knowledge. But I still never really pictured it. But now that you say heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually made an impact. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, so when we talk about the 12 tribes of Israel, obviously, you know, I'm talking about something that is of me, right? My people were taken from here, or they began to migrate from here, and I could take you back in history. I mean, you want to go back to 721 BC, where you had the Assyrian invasion of Israel, or the northern kingdom that caused a significant amount of those tribes to be exiled, or you can go back to 586 BC, where you had the destruction of the first temple, where you had a significant amount of those Judeans who were residing in the hills of Judea who were exiled, or you had the invasion of the Romans after the war in 66 to 70 AD, which caused about 1 million Judeans, Israelites, to be exiled from this place. And then we fled to North Africa, and then we were forced to then flee from there because of the invasion of the Arabs in 732 or 735 AD. And then we found refuge in West Africa, and then we were taken from West Africa, right, beginning in 1448 into the Americas, or into Europe first and then into the Americas to be enslaved. And then people say that Christopher Columbus was the one who actually discovered America, but we were there beforehand, before 1492. But you also had a significant amount of our brothers and sisters who were exiled from Spain and from the Iberian Peninsula, right, under King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, that it caused them then to flee from Spain down into Morocco and then down into the western shores of Africa and found refuge there. And today you still have a bunch of our brothers and sisters who are residing there. Igbos, Yoruba, Ashanti, Ewe, Ga, all these people are people who trace their Israelite heritage back to Israel, who have maintained a lot of the first temple traditions and customs up until this very day. They've been holding on to these things up until this very day. So when I say Israel, I'm not talking about just the beginning of the modern state of Israel in 1948. I'm talking about an ancient heritage that has been unbroken now for 3,000 years. You cannot find anybody who has an unbroken heritage for such a long period of time. Nowhere on this planet. But I can tell you that ours is unbroken.
You have a huge community in Africa that they know in tradition that they are Hebrews, that they are from child of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. They know it for sure. You have communities that are running services and prayers by the halakha, keeping Shabbat and eating kosher. They know their roots. Like, you can't argue with them. They're stronger than you. They will tell you who they are. They don't ask you even.
I want to just give a little history about the migration patterns of my ancestors from Israel and how they actually arrived to America. And I was thinking about it, and I said, should I share some sources so people could be able to actually go and to confirm any of the information that I'm talking about? And I said to myself, it's strange that we Israelites find ourselves all too often needing to provide sources from external people, right, who have went and researched and found information about our history, about our family, about our ancestors, and we need to use their sources in order to confirm information about our history. That's crazy to me. and I was thinking about it, and I said, well, there are enough anthropologists, there are enough historians, there is enough archaeological artifacts.
Community.
There are enough people who research the migration patterns of the Israelites from Israel, and a whole bunch of other information. So if people really want to actually go and to read about my family's ancestry, about our migration patterns, about our roots, about our history from other people who studied us, then they could do that. It's not a problem at all. But I don't, and I believe that no Israelite should actually need to lean on external sources to corroborate any of our historical information. Like, that's, that is something wrong with that picture.
So should we go to the question about conflation? What does conflation mean? Were there different kinds of conflation of Jews and blacks over time? Or should we go to the question of looking at your slides?
Well, let me quickly just deal, because the conflation is in the title of my book. And I think just to say what I mean by it would be a good introduction, really, to the slides. There's a kind of medieval perception that Jews were black. And there's plenty of proof that within Europe, the Jews were considered to be kind of black. There are many images of Jews being black, and even if they weren't black, they were not even slightly black. They were kind of considered to be black in one way or another. So blackness and Jews really went hand in hand. If you read my work, and particularly if you read this new book, you will see the multitude of examples of it. And if you go, for instance, into the marginalia, the illustrations in English or European prayer books in the 13th and 14th centuries, you frequently see hook-nosed Jews wearing Jewish hats and with black faces. So the idea that Jews were black was definitely there, before the Enlightenment period. In the 19th century, the idea of Jewish blackness was reinforced by the discovery of all of these actual black Jews in India and Africa, all over the place. And by 1850, the main racial theorists of the day started saying that, yes, actually, Jews are Negroes. Negroes, in some way, are also Jews. This is the conflation. It's partly political, it's partly metaphorical, and it's very, very significantly biological.
No, from birth, I'm a Jew. Only I know that my forefather missed the way.
I grew up alongside every other Igbo youth. We kept on hearing that Igbo people came from Israel.
There was a story my mom told me at the age of 6 years. I never forget. He said, the Igbos are Jews.
Practice, ritual, diet, and song. This is the story of the Igbo, 25 million strong, a people once under siege by their very own government.
Biafra declared its independence.
And a people once captured and shipped across the Atlantic by the hundreds of thousands. A people who helped build America, and a people whose descendants are now discovering their Igbo roots, raising questions of cultural identity for countless African Americans.
Many African Americans actually do not know that they have Igbo heritage. The chances of their being Igbo is much, much higher than their chances of coming from Ghana or from Western Nigeria.
Interestingly enough, I want to ask you a controversial question. They have done some blood samples on the Lemba people. Okay? They have done some blood samples on the Lemba people. What did the result reveal? This is very, very significant. Who wants to take a stab at that?
I'll do that.
Okay. And this is done by the Israeli researchers, right, from Israel?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I don't want to dominate the conversation here, but I'm only because I took part in that exercise.
So you were part of this exercise.
I was.
Tell us, when did it take place? When?
At first, there's a friend of mine. His name is Tudo Pafit.
How many years ago? I'm saying this took place.
That is in 1985.
1980?
Yeah, 85.
85. Okay.
Yeah. He took some samples. He took some samples of the Lemba from Berengwa in the Tazemba. It registers the 25%.
Okay.
Jewish.
25% Jewish.
Yes. Then it was repeated again, including the South African Lembas.
Yes.
In some other areas of the Lemba. It registered 45%.
Okay.
Now, when the Israel government heard about about us, that there's something happened that some people in Zimbabwe, they approached me.
The Israeli government approached you?
Yes. They sent me the kit, said, can you get some samples? We don't take blood, we only take saliva from the chicks. Okay. So I collected saliva on about 60 Lembas, then about 10 non-Lembas. Then I sent them to Israel.
Okay.
Yes, in Tel Aviv. I went to Israel.
You went to Israel, you send them the samples.
To a hospital in Israel.
Okay, and what happened?
Now, they invited me to Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there. Then actually, what happened is that they sent me some... They said you should come. The same moment, also Rabbi Jonathan Bennis sent me to Israel.
Okay.
Just as a friend said, I want to buy a ticket to go to Israel.
Okay.
So I went to Israel. So I told the person who was my contact that the samples you took, said, now, as long as we are coming here, we have to meet. So I met him in Jerusalem. He said, my friend, those samples you brought here, they have caused a stir here in Israel. I said, why do you say so? I said, no, look, you see, there's some blacks there from Ethiopia who do the cleaning the hotels and all that. He said, that boy you're seeing there, his percentage is about 26%. But on you, it's 70%. 70%.
That's significant.
But we cannot release this information because look, there's no land. And you are at war. And it is a desert.
So are you telling me what I think you're telling me? You're saying they know that there is a high percent of Jewishness and the Israeli government will not allow to release these results to the public?
They know.
That's inconceivable.
They know.
I've been connected. You wanted to say
I wanted to say,
yeah, please.
Sorry, I have to go back a little bit. I wanted to add up to what Pastor Tatra said about our footprints in Israel. How do we know that we came from Israel? Now, if you got the book of Nehemiah, I can't remember the chapter, verse 35, it talks about a man called Senna.
Senna.
So I'm happy to tell you that if you had to go back to home to Israel, we left some marks on the way. When our parents went to Yemen, they built a city and named it Senna. It's there right today. It's called Senna. Now, if you go from Senna, they went to Mozambique. If you go to Mozambique, there's a city called Senna in Mozambique.
Interesting.
If you come here to Zimbabwe, the Great Zimbabwe, it was supposed to be called Seda 4, but only that we are a minority and our voice was not audible enough to be heard. Then the other group which crossed the Limpopo River, South Africa, they built a city and called it Senna. Even today it's called Messina. It's on our way to South Africa. Now, if you go to Israel, there's a place near the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
There's a place it's a city which was to be occupied by the Levites.
Okay.
Now they were surrounded by the Moabites.
Okay.
That's where you get a place called Senna also. And on the old map of Israel, there is a place called Lemba. I have the map on me here.
Interesting.
There's a place called Lemba. It's there. Lemba. I have a map there. So it's very easy to go back home because already we left some marks and we already known that we were there. But only that because of the...
But I will start with the end of my research, which was here in Israel, when a number of Igbo people had arrived in Israel in the 1990s. And one of them, Jim Aniello, went up to the High Court to claim Jewish identity, not only for himself, but for all of the Igbo people. So he wanted to have the law of return also applied to the Igbo people. Now, there was a High Court decision in 1994, of course, rejecting the Igbo Jewish identity. And what was most interesting for me, of all the stakeholders that gave their opinion about the Igbo, I think Israeli academia was the most influential ones and not the rabbis. We always think that it is the rabbis that define Jewish identity, but I can clearly say that Africanist or Israeli academia was actually the most important factor in this. So after this avenue to Jewish identity in Israel was blocked for the Igbo, still more and more Igbo people were arriving in Israel. And so the people who wanted to get recognition as Jews, the Igbo who wanted to be recognized as Jews in Israel, had to convert to Judaism. And so they did. They built a Igbo Jewish community in southern Tel Aviv, and they converted to Orthodox Judaism, actually to ultra-Orthodox Judaism. But nevertheless, their conversions were not recognized, and most of them were deported in 2007. So halachically speaking, they were actually Jewish, but not by the state. During the 15th century and also the 16th century, there was quite a strong image about the Jews being red or reddish. And it was actually a geographical, people were quite sure that at the end of the earth, you can see it on the top of the picture, that there is a territory of the red Jews. Yes, you can find it on several maps around this time. And these red Jews were somehow threatening the Christian Europe, and the concept, of course, changed. It didn't stay the same, and you have, for instance, then in the 16th century, talk about the alliance of the red and the black Jews, and this is kind of an apocalyptic vision that would destroy Christian Europe. So again, we have here Jews described at the same time as being black and red. And I think we have this heard this earlier. I think it was in the first talk we have heard today. So I will skip to the next map. Okay. This is a map. It's one of the earliest descriptions of Africa from the 16th century. It's a map drawn by Livio Sanuto, and here you have in the middle, which is yellow, the Judeorum Terra. So from very early times, you have this idea of having Jews in Africa, black Jews in Africa, together with these red Jews in other places, be it in the Americas or be it them in Asia. So this exists at the very same time. So again, if you go back to this three-part division of the world of white Europe, black Africa, and the in-between Asia, African Jews they're somehow a disruptive element in this notion. They're like a counter discourse. At the same time, if we go then up to the Enlightenment, Jews were also somehow at the one side, so you have Jews being considered as blacks or being as reds, but at the same time there's this idea evolving about Jews being an invisible race. So wherever you would go, Jews will have different skin colors. So if you go to Africa, they will be black like their neighbors. If you go to Europe, they will be white like their neighbors, but still they have the same race. It means they still just marry themselves. They wouldn't marry outsiders, but they still share the same race. And this is, I talked about earlier about Ishai's conception about the Beta Israel being the seed of Israel. This is kind of a similar idea of an invisible Jewish race. And we'll go to the next slide. You might have seen this before. This was from an exhibition in Nazi Germany in 1938. It was about degenerate music, like you had exhibitions about degenerate art. And here you see an interesting combination of blackness and Jewishness as being the threat to white Aryan Germany. So this is a very negative depiction, of course, of this combination of blackness and Jewishness, but you can also find at the very same time positive descriptions about this combination of black Jewish identity. And there is a little advertisement for my forthcoming book. Should be out in about a month or 2 months' time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dani Admaso. I'm a student in Berean University. My question is, from what you learn, who's a Jew? This was one of your titles.
Yeah.
Is this personal definition, or it's like, what do you learn from it? I mean, I would like to hear your opinion. Whose definition was Jew?
Well,
your research.
My research was about, in Israel, especially looking at the Igbo case. I was looking also at their earlier identification as Jews in Nigeria, but coming to Israel, I was looking who is deciding on who is a Jew. And as I said, the general conception is that it is the rabbinate that at the end of the day decides. But the rabbinate is really relying on what I found, is relying on the opinions of anthropologists, Africanists. So the rabbinate is actually drawing back on research that is being done in the academia. And that was also the case with the Beta Israel. It was the very same thing. I think academia, our scholarly research about Israel, was crucial in bringing about a recognition among the rabbis. So academia is very important. There are several actors. I mean, it's not. And sometimes it's. You wonder, why the Bnei Menashe from India got the recognition, while the Igbo not. Because in my view, it's they both of them can make a case, and you can argue against it the same way or not. So it's a political issue at the end of the day. But I mean, the immigration of the Beta Israel has received a lot. Really, there's tons of research about the Beta Israel, and it's I mean, considering the number of Beta Israel that are actually in Israel, it's really amazing, how much research has been done, and the awareness also of people outside of Israel about that there are Beta Israel in Israel is there. So. It's somehow, if there is one group of black Jews, well, then there are probably others as well. It builds a bridge somehow.
A lot of people are waking up now.
What do you think about this topic? Remember to be a Berean scholar, as it is written in the book of Acts 17 verses 11 to 12. Now the Bereans were more noble-minded than the Thessalonians, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if these teachings were true. It's time to deepen your understanding and see your reflection in the sacred pages. Please click subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date with the Berean Scholar channel.